What did I see at Tennessee football practice number 2 on Thursday? What did tight ends coach Alec Abeln say about one of his true freshmen that really caught everybody by surprise?
You are Locked On Vols, your daily podcast on the Tennessee Volunteers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Good Friday morning, everybody. Welcome into it. It's Locked On Vols here on the YouTube channel, Locked On Vols, or wherever you listen to your podcast. Appreciate you guys, you everydayers. I am Eric Cain. We got a lot to get into. Notes from practice number 2. Some sound bites from day 2. Some really good stuff, or day 3, I guess. Some really good stuff from Thursday. And something I want you to stick around for segment number 3. Inspired by Mark Nagy over Saturday Down South. The 10 most interesting things, the 10 most important things I'm looking forward to with Tennessee football this year. I'm going to give you my rendition on it. That's coming up in segment number 3. Rain all over the Knoxville area. I mean, pouring down rain. So Tennessee could not hit the Haslam practice field on the outdoor complex or on the outdoor grass on Thursday morning. So it was pushed inside to the indoor facility at the Anderson Training Facility, and that's where Tennessee got after it. It was practice number 2, still just helmets, no shoulder pads, and again, like I said yesterday, we got to see about 45 to 50 minutes, about 9 periods. That was the longest viewing day of the year. Again, we won't see nearly as much as what we saw 2 days ago until that one practice we get in spring practice where we get to do that again. So back to our normal about 21, 22 minutes, and one of those periods is stretching. It's really counterproductive. It's really silly, but I guess it is better than nothing. So I'm not going to sit here and just tell you like, oh, I saw this, oh, I saw this, oh, I saw this. We don't see an awful lot. Anyone that tells you that they see a lot more than what I'm telling you, they're full crap, okay? I'm just telling you. It just is. But we do get to see something, and we get to see more than the average fan. So again, it's something is better than nothing. So here's what I saw getting down into it. We'll start on offense. The running backs, Jalen Wright and Jabari Small look good. Again, it's off-season strength and conditioning, collegiate program, adding armor, all that type of stuff. Those guys look really, really good. Didn't get a chance to really look up close to the offensive line. They were in the far end zone. It looked as if Gerald Mincy was still repping on the left side of the line, but they were doing more group work when we were out there yesterday. So, I'll try to get an update on Gerald Mincy if he's cross-training. But remember, on Wednesday, he was, running with the 2s at left tackle and not right tackle. Quarterbacks, Joe Milton looked good. Quarterbacks look good, throwing indoor. And again, no shoulder pads, just helmets. Practice number 2, take everything with a grain of salt. Joe Milton looked good. Boy, he was throwing bullets. He was throwing fastballs on some seams, on some slants, on some ends, on some digs. But those receivers like Dante Thornton and Ramel Keaton were catching the football well out in front of them like they're supposed to. That's something that the Tennessee receivers didn't do 2 years ago, is catch the football out in front of their face if you're a receiver. That's what you're supposed to do if you're a receiver, but you haven't had a quarterback like Joe Milton before. But obviously the Tennessee catchers, or the Tennessee receivers, know how to catch the football now with Joe Milton. Not a whole lot of balls on the ground, routes on air, quarterbacks to receivers. Nate Spillman and Caleb Webb, a sophomore and a freshman respectively, saw them make a couple catches, saw both those guys drop a pass, and the receivers do push-ups when they drop a pass. So Dante Thornton looks good. He looks like $1 million. I'm telling you, though, I think you hear more about Ramel Keaton right now than anybody. Ramel Keaton is off to a strong camp. He's had a great offseason. And Ramel Keaton continues to surprise a whole lot of people, myself included. Nico, just day 2, but it looked like he was more comfortable, made some sharp throws out there. We'll see what he looks like on Friday when the shoulder pads come on for the first day of Shell's work, which is helmet, shoulder pads, and thigh pads, everything but knee pads, so almost full padded practice. On the offensive line, kind of going back there, John Campbell looks better. In spring, John Campbell kind of looked... I guess what I'm trying to say is it looks like he's benefited big time from the strength and conditioning program. Looks like he's trimmed down a little bit, cut some body fat out, added some muscle, and that's going to be big to help with this up-tempo offense. John Campbell looks good in pads, or looked good out there on the practice field the other day. And a true freshman offensive tackle, Shamrod Sham Umar. God, in recruiting, I remember how to say his name, but I haven't said his name in a long time. Sham Umarov. There we go. He was receiving some good praise from Glenn Ellerby off to the side about his hand placements and attacking the dummy or attacking the three technique. Receiving some praise from Glenn Ellerby, so I thought that was good. Move over to the defensive side of the football. Again, guys, we see stretches. We see first part of individual. We see a little bit of group work, and that's really all we get to see. Let's go over to defense, and Elijah Simmons looks good. He's carrying that 340 pounds around really, really well right now. I bet he's lighter than 340, but he's front of the line, running from drill to drill. And not that he wasn't engaged or doing that before, but really taking initiative, really to be a leader of that group and to try to break out. It's always been, is it going to be this year for Elijah Simmons, and it's never panned out. Elijah Simmons, first couple of days of fall camp here, kind of carrying himself like he's the leader of that defensive line group, and so that was really, really good to see. The linebackers were practicing coming off the edge, kind of screaming off the edge. You saw that a lot in third downs, and they would actually put three linebackers out there, take the star out. It was Elijah Herring's role last year, but saw Keenan Peely and Aaron Beasley kind of practice going off the edge, blitzing from the second level. And again, Keenan Peely looks like he's been there, done that. He looks like a seasoned pro, and again, he's 25 years old, so he's been around the block a time or two. Defensive backs didn't get a whole lot of look on. Didn't get to see 7-on-7 period. Didn't get to see one-on-ones. Did hear that Warren Burrell had a nice, batted a pass down, which is good for him, of course, as he continues to work himself back from that early season injury last year. Gabe Judy-Lally coaching up a lot of the young guys, even though he's kind of a newcomer as well. I'll say this, Wesley Walker looks like he had a good offseason in terms of strength conditioning, and it looks like he's trimmed down a little bit as well, and he'll be one of Tennessee's starting safeties. So, again, it was condensed yesterday. The rain forced everybody inside. There wasn't a whole lot of room to work with, and we only got to see about 19 minutes yesterday, but big things. Looks like the quarterbacks had a pretty good day. They were on the money, throwing really well, tight spirals. Nico looked more comfortable. Joe Milton looked really, really good. Receivers, Dante Thornton or Mel Keaton continue to press. Oh, yeah, Brew McCoy's there. We never mentioned his name, but he's just Steady Eddie over there. Linebackers practicing blitzing from the second layer of the defense. Defensive line, a lot of individual footwork type of stuff. Elijah Simmons leading that group on day 2. And, these young running backs, Cam Selden, Khalifa Keith, continuing to learn kind of what steps to take, mesh point, all that type of stuff, and following the lead of Jabari Small and Jalen Wright, as well as Dylan Sampson. So those are some of the highlights. That's kind of what I saw. Again, guys, not a whole lot, but I do want to relay what I saw out there. Practice number 2 for the University of Tennessee, and practice number 3 is going to come up later this morning, and then, of course, they'll practice on Saturday, off day Sunday, and then be back at it on Monday for week number 2 of fall camp. What were some of those sound bites? Intriguing stuff that Alec Abeln said, and some of these other newcomers had to say when they took to the podium. You don't want to miss one specific soundbite in segment 2. That's coming up next right here on Locked On Vols. I want to tell you about our friends over at LinkedIn Jobs. These days, every new potential hire can feel like a high-stakes wager for your small business. You want to be 100% certain that you have access to the best qualified candidates available. That's why you got to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the right people for your team faster and for free. We've all put our resume online with hopes of taking that next step in our journey and our career. And maybe you now have reached that plateau and you're a small business owner and you own it, operate it, but you need some help. And you want some good help. You want some qualified help. You can find that help at LinkedIn Jobs. Simple tools like screening questions make it easier to focus on candidates with just the right skills and experience so that you can quickly prioritize who you want to interview and then ultimately hire. It's why small businesses rank LinkedIn Jobs number 1 in delivering qualified hires versus its leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster and for free. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions do apply. It is Friday here on Locked On Vols. That is enough to celebrate. Can I get an amen? We'll be back on Monday, tell you all that we saw at Friday and Saturday practice, and of course, getting into fall camp week number 2. Appreciate you guys being here. You everydayers, you're an everydayer because you subscribed to Locked On Vols on the YouTube channel. If you haven't already, please encourage you to do. We're trying to get to 8K by kickoff, 8K by opening day. Got a couple hundred away, but I appreciate you guys who are subscribed. And, of course, you can always listen to us wherever you get your podcast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all that good stuff. It all helps. So I really, really do appreciate you guys. All right, some of the best sound bites from day number 2. And these guys you never heard from before. You've heard from Alec Abeln maybe once when he was hired. He spoke to the media. So I'm going to play some from him. You haven't heard from him an awful lot. And then some of these other guys are freshmen. Tennessee trying to put freshmen out in front of us, trying to get them in front of a microphone, in front of cameras, and get them used to being in the spotlight here early into fall camp. But first, we'll go to the tight ends coach, Alec Abeln, on the room. The dynamic of the tight ends this year for Tennessee. You look at that room, 4 scholarship tight ends, 2 6-year guys, Jacob Warren and McCallan Castles, then 2 freshmen, Ethan Davis and Emmanuel Okoye. So a very different, unique dynamic. And so he was asked about that and how coaching those 2 different styles or those 2 different players, the veterans and the newcomers, how's that been over the summer and fall camp? This is what Tennessee tight ends coach Alec Abeln had to say on that.
Yeah, it's awesome. During the summer, the way that lift groups are split up, you're able to meet a lot one-on-one and able to kind of cater the meetings to who's in your room. Fall camp is definitely interesting because you got old guys that you want to talk about some really detailed stuff or some really nuanced stuff, and then you've got other guys that are literally learning the game of football, to Ethan, who's come a long way from the spring in terms of what he knows, but is still a young guy just learning how to play. Definitely makes it a challenge, and credit the old guys for being patient. And a lot of times they're coaching the young guys before I even have to, which makes it really pretty cool.
So you got this room, Jacob Warren, McCallan Castles. McCallan Castles is a new guy, but he is a veteran. He went to Cal out of high school, was at UC Berkeley for a little bit the last couple of years, and now is over here. It's not UC Berkeley, it's UC somewhere. UC Irvine, something like that. I've reported on it before, but literally there's 85 guys on the team. It's hard to keep track. But now he's here at Tennessee because he wants to go to the NFL, right? And so anyway, but he's still a new guy, but he's also a veteran, so he's played a lot of football. But you got those 2 veterans. You've got Ethan Davis, who spoke to the media, and he said, hey, he's full go, 100% ready to roll. Remember, he broke his collarbone one of the last few plays of the spring game, but that's good to see him ready to go because I think he's going to have to play. But then you have a very unique freshman in Emmanuel Okoye. Emmanuel Okoye was a late sign to the class of 2022. Late sign. He is from the NFL London Academy. He is originally from Nigeria. Very raw in terms of the game of football, and he's only played maybe a year or two, when going over to the NFL Academy. And you were playing on like soccer fields that didn't have a hash mark. So again, a very brand new student of the game is Emmanuel Okoye, and Tennessee recognizes that. But he chose Tennessee over a number of other schools. And he's long. He is, he's physical. He's a super athlete. But he's got a long way to go. Okay, in determining how he can best help this football team and ultimately turn into a football player. But the proof's in the pudding, right? I mean, he is an athlete. If you guys remember his recruitment, again, a late sign. Alec Abeln was asked about him. And again, guys, this is a guy that will not catch a pass this year. This is a guy that will not play in more than 4 games to burn a red shirt. He will not have a big role. That's the plan for Tennessee this year. But listen to what Alec Abeln says about Emmanuel Okoye here earlier today. Some really, really good stuff. Kind of a mic drop quote here. Give this a listen.
He's got the chance to be the most athletic guy to ever play the position. I truly believe that. He is as physically gifted as anybody I've ever been around. He's got to continue to make steps every day. But just from a raw athletic standpoint, the ceiling is unlimited.
I mean, goodness gracious, the most athletic player to ever play the position? What? I mean, there's been a lot of athletic guys and some pretty good tight ends. So that was a pretty interesting quote there. I'm not going to lie. I was kind of taken aback when he said that, but that just speaks to the volume and the belief that they have and what Emmanuel Okoye can turn into down the line. So I thought that was interesting. Let's hear from Emmanuel Okoye. Again, what a tremendous story he is. Again, if you don't know all about his recruitment and his football journey, I encourage you to go look it up. We've written about it over at volquest.com. But his first time, likely in an interview setting whatsoever, I left the question in here. The question is just like, hey, how was your journey over from Nigeria to the NFL Academy? Osi Numenora, former New York Giant, it was his doing, getting him from Nigeria to the Academy. How did that all happen, and kind of where are you now? Really good stuff. Question and answer here for Emmanuel Okoye.
Emmanuel, can you take us back for people that maybe don't know about being discovered by Osi Numenora and his scouts and how that came to be?
Was back in Nigeria. That was almost 2 years now. So I was playing basketball at the time. Osi came for the camp. Did my best, in socks. Just did what I had to do, and he saw the zeal I had for the game and gave me the opportunity to play football in the UK at the NFL Academy, and I put my 100% into it, and I'm here.
So, talking about playing basketball in socks, and Osi Numenora saw his zeal for the game, and said, hey, I know you're playing basketball right now, but look at your length, look at your stature, how much weight you can hold. You're just an athlete. Let's teach you how to play football, let you come from your home, go to the NFL Academy, and let you get in front of scouts and these colleges and give you an opportunity to go and gain a second degree, essentially, of higher education and to go play football at a big-time Power 5 program. What a story. I'm going to dive into that a little over the weekend, hopefully, and write some more about it at volquest.com, but I love that answer there from Emmanuel Okoye. Let's move on. Let's hear from two other freshmen. Jeremiah Thielander, a linebacker. He has been one of the guys that looks the most impressive in terms of, seeing him when he came into college in January and where he is today. Sucker's put on at least 20 pounds full of muscle, in my opinion. He looks good, and I think he's going to play a little bit of linebacker this year as well. All the talks about Aaron Carter, I get it. I think Jeremiah Thielander is going to take some snaps as well this year at linebacker. I asked him about the game speed. Has it slowed down for him at all? And if so, when? Now we're over spring. This was his answer about how he's starting to feel a little bit more comfortable here at the college landscape.
Throughout spring, it started to slow down a little bit. I mean, there's still so much to it that you got to think fast and play fast at the same time. So there's a whole lot to it, but it's definitely starting to slow down a little bit more as I continue to master the playbook and start getting into other things as like identifying formations and knowing what the offense is going to run before the play starts. So as that continues, I feel myself being able to play even more faster.
Again, that was linebacker Jeremiah Thielander. Write that name down. I think you're going to be hearing that name a little bit this year as well. And then lastly, I want to play a clip from Nathan Robinson, in-state prospect. Nathan Robertson has a unique journey to college football. Was a linebacker, tight end, skill guy, long, skinny guy. Over the last year, when these Power 5 programs saw him, it's kind of like seeing a baby, a little puppy, but you see these big paws. He's going to grow into a big old dog, right? That's kind of Nathan Robinson. You saw the frame and everything. It's like, let's put about 50 pounds on you, okay? And let's turn you into a defensive lineman. And that's what he is now. He's a defensive lineman at the University of Tennessee. Missed spring ball, had a wrist injury, so he was a spectator. He watched and getting out there going full speed the last couple of days. But a reminder, again, for freshmen, it's a huge wake-up call. Doesn't matter if you were here in January. Doesn't matter if you showed up in June. It's always a wake-up call about the difference in where you are now compared to where you came from. Nathan Robinson's going to be fine, but give this a listen, some true raw, not emotions, but some raw explanations about, hey, it's been a little tough the first 2 days, not going to lie. Love his answers. Give this a listen.
It's certainly a shock. Yesterday, kind of getting into it, it was kind of smack in the face. As things go on, just gotten kind of used to it. It's just one of those things that you're worried about before you start it, and then once you get through it, you're kind of like you kind of laugh at it. You're like, dang, that sucked, but I'm still here, and I got to go get the job done the next day. So just a slap in the face, but it's kind of coasting now, getting a little simpler and in the groove.
Nathan, you missed the spring, but you were still able to watch practice, mental reps, all that. Were you expecting to maybe do better? You have expectations when you got on the field about how things might go?
Yeah, I expected to be able to be in my spot as far as play call goes. Obviously, with it being my first real reps, I mean outside of bowl practice, but that's just really scout team. Obviously, there's I got to make strides in that area, going against bigger, stronger guys in high school. But my expectation was that I'd know my job and that I would get where I need to be. But I'm going to have to fight and scrap just to get to that spot harder than I ever have.
Tennessee freshman defensive lineman Nathan Robinson. A lot of good stuff there from these freshmen. We'll continue to Tennessee will continue to throw out some newcomers and some freshmen, but we'll get into the key guys, the Cooper Mays, the Joe Miltons, the Ramel Keatons, the Dante Thorntons, the Brew McCoys, all these type of guys as we Aaron Beasley, I didn't mention Omari Tom. I didn't mention many defenders there as we continue to work through camp, but good stuff there. Want to share some of those with you. Hope you enjoyed it. When we come back, probably it's going to be a good segment, all right? Inspired, I'll tell you on the other side, but inspired by Mark Nagy over at Saturday Down South. Got a fun exercise here in segment number 3, so stay tuned. That is coming up next right here on Locked On Vols. I want to tell you about our friends, remind you guys about our friends over at eBay Motors. For a championship team, it's all about making sure every player is a perfect fit. It's the same way when it comes to your vehicle. Every part needs to fit just right, all right? So the next time you need parts and accessories, I encourage you to head on over to eBay Motors. With eBay's guaranteed fit, you can be sure that every part you need fits right the first time around. Just add your ride to My Garage and look for the green check to know that the part will fit, or your money is back. Not bad. Because just like in sports, confidence is the name of the game with eBay Motors, because when you stop by over there, you need to make sure everything fits just right. And with over 122 million parts to choose from, you'll be back in the game in no time. After all, it's easy to bring home a win when the right parts are guaranteed. Get the right parts, the right fit, the right prices over at ebaymotors.com. Let's ride. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available for U.S. customers. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. All right, guys, it is the final segment of the work week, so we're gonna have a little bit of fun here. Appreciate you guys for being here. Was cruising along, programming the show yesterday, and I'm like, all right, let's do something fun in segment 3, okay? Let's get these guys to hang on to watch the entire show or listen to the entire show. Keep, just like radio programming, you always want to keep them past that first break, right? Time spent listening, which, by the way, on the college channel, we're one of the top 10 shows in terms of time spent watching on YouTube, so thank you for that, guys. But I wanted to do something really, really cool, so I thought I'd put this in segment 3 to keep you guys to hold on. It is the top 10 reasons I'm excited about Tennessee football. Top 10 reasons I'm excited about Tennessee football this year. Going to work through the list fast, but I think it'll be a whole lot of fun. Mark Nagy did this over at Saturday Down South for Tennessee football. Want to give credit where credit's due. This is his idea. He did it over at Saturday Down South. I encourage you to go check out his list as well, but here is mine. Reverse order, number 10, the South Carolina game. Do I need to go in even more explanation here? We all know what happened last year in Columbia. This game's going to be at Neyland. A week after the UTSA game, 2 weeks after Florida. Hey, by the way, just think about that schedule. It's getting more complicated the more you think about it. Florida, UTSA, South Carolina, bye week, A&M, Alabama, Kentucky, UConn, Missouri, Georgia, Vanderbilt. I think I did that by memory. And it's SEC, but I mean, that's just what life is in the SEC. But it's not a very easy schedule. Anyway, South Carolina game. I mean, hello, you want to give South Carolina back some revenge for keeping you out of the college football playoffs, right? South Carolina game's my number 10. Number 9, who are the pass rushers? We continue to talk about this. Roman Harrison, James Pierce, Joshua Josephs, Caleb Herring. Could it be one of the interior guys? Could it be Omar Norman Lott? Could it be Amari Thomas? Could it be Bryson Eason? Who is going to step up and lead this team in sacks this year? Who is going to get pressure on that quarterback? I don't know the answer to it right now. Give me one of those long, explosive Leos. That's my guess, but I'm intrigued to watch that unfold. I'm excited to see who steps up because somebody inevitably will step up. Number 8, Jackson Ross. You guys probably heard that name. It's like, who the heck is Jackson Ross? He is, and the other people that heard me say Jackson Ross, like saying, why are you saying Jackson Ross? He's the punter. He's Tennessee's punter. But let me tell you guys, I love football. I love special teams, okay? And no disrespect to Paxton Brooks. He was VFL. He was here forever. He did a lot of good things. Jackson Ross is going to improve that game, that side of the game. All right, he will absolutely boom it. He's a special punter. He's a former professional Australian football player. Okay, he can do some things. All right, and he's got a booming right leg. All right, it's going to be fun watching him. I'll just leave it at that. Jackson Ross, I promise you, he's going to become a fan favorite. I promise you that. Number 7, it's interesting to say that about a punter and a kicker too, but I promise you he will. Number 7, Jalen Wright, Jabari Small, tandem A, tandem B, 1A, 1B, the dynamic duo. I think Jalen Wright's going to take over that lead back role. However, I love that 1-2 punch. They're veterans. They played a lot of football in the SEC, and I'm excited to watch them go to work together. Jalen Wright, Jabari Small at number 7. Leading what I believe is one of the strongest running back rooms in the Southeastern Conference. Not one of the best. There's not a Superman there, but I think one of the better running back rooms in the Southeastern Conference. All right, we'll go on to number 6, Josh Heupel wrinkles. I love football. I'm a football nerd. I like to go back and watch tape. I like to write columns about it. I like to track. I like to chart things. The way Josh Heupel adapts as the season goes on, the way Josh Heupel game plans for specific defenders and defenses, getting Jalen Hyatt lined up on a linebacker, that happened a couple of times towards the end of the year. Like, how does that happen if you're a DC, right? I mean, but Josh Heupel makes it happen. The way he utilizes his tight ends, the way he finds a Swiss Army knife and incorporates that into the game plan. Hello, Princeton fans. I love Josh Heupel wrinkles. That is the 6th most important thing I am looking forward to this season. Let's go to number 5, the linebackers. I mentioned this time in and time out. Unique room, 2 veterans, a lot of young guys. Aaron Beasley, stud. Keenan Peely, veteran. Elijah Herring, promising freshman year, now stepping up as a sophomore. Arian Carter is going to be a stud. Jeremiah Teaglander is going to get some snaps. Caleb Perry's in that mix as well. It's a deep linebacker room. It's a deep and important linebacker room. I'm excited to watch him go to work. Number 4, the wide receivers. You lose the Blitnikoff Award winner. You lose Cedric Tillman, who was drafted in the 3rd round as well, and who had over 1,000 reception or 1,000 yards receiving and over 10 touchdowns in 2021. Okay, you lose all that. You lose the guy that threw in the football and who should have been a Heisman finalist, in my opinion, Hendon Hooker. And the wide receivers have the opportunity to be a real strength for Tennessee. Love the Brew McCoy, Ramel Keaton. Love Dante Thornton and Squirrel White. I think these guys can be an absolute weapon for Tennessee's offense. And just goes to show, if you want to play wide receiver, why the hell aren't you at the University of Tennessee? Number 3, the big 3 rivalry games. Of course, for Tennessee, you know it. That's Georgia. That's Alabama. And that's Florida. Hold your horses. We'll talk Georgia in a moment. Alabama, you snapped a losing skid of 15 straight. Can you do it again? There is no quarterback. There's currently no quarterback leading the Crimson Tide. Take advantage on the road. I understand that team's going to be good. I understand that team's going to be deep with depth. It's going to be on the road. Take advantage. Go win that game for the 2nd year in a row. Make a new streak. Why don't you? Florida, beat them while they're down. Swamp game, haven't won there since 2003. You've only beaten them twice since 2004, right? You've got to win that football game. Florida is down. It sets up perfectly for you to win the first game of the Swamp since 2003. Go get them, because this year Florida sucks, point blank. Not a game where you can sleepwalk through, but Florida sucks. You better take advantage of that, all right? Number 2, I left out Georgia there. I had to include Georgia in the big 3, but number 2 specifically Georgia. Last year of divisions in the SEC. Who's going to Atlanta? November the 18th. It could come down to undefeated in the SEC Tennessee, undefeated in the SEC Georgia. It could very easily come down to that game. It's what it was last year, right, in the road on Athens. This time it's at Neyland Stadium. What does Georgia look like? It's still got a whole lot of toys to play with, but it's got a new quarterback, got a new play caller. What's the Georgia Bulldogs look like, and what do they look like November the 18th at Neyland Stadium? That game's going to be huge, especially if these two teams do what they're supposed to leading up to that game. Number 2 is the Georgia game, and number 1, it's Joe Milton. It's boom or bust. It's it's let's throw it 80 yards, or can we learn to have a little touch on our pass here? Joe Milton is the biggest variable in this Tennessee season, and he could be a top 10 pick next year, okay? Anthony Richardson, Will Levis hype. I know Will Levis went in the 2nd round, but it's that type of hype, right? Because of the body types. Joe Milton's bigger, though, being compared to Cam Newton. But for the first time in your career, Joe, can you put it together week after week after week? His accuracy's improved immensely. Everybody around him says his accuracy's improved. Look at the stats from last year compared to 21 and the 2020 season. The accuracy improved. The QBR improved. Can you put it all together? Because if you put it all together, Joe Milton, the Tennessee team's going to be dangerous this year. Dangerous. Those are my top 10 reasons why I'm excited about Tennessee football this year. Again, in reverse order. Number 10, the South Carolina game. Number 9, who's the pass rusher? Figuring that out. Number 8, Jackson Ross. Yeah, I promise you, the punter, Jackson Ross. Number 7, the tandem of Jalen Wright and Jabari Small. Number 6, Josh Heupel's offensive wrinkles. Love to see him every single week. Number 5, the LBs. That room is deep. Number 4, the wide receivers. Going to be the strength of this Tennessee football team. Romel Keaton, Brew McCoy, Dante Thornton, Squirrel White. Number 3, the big 3 rivalry games, Florida, Georgia, Alabama. Number 2, the Georgia game specifically and what November the 18th could mean. And number 1, your quarterback in Joe Milton. Those are my top 10 reasons why I'm excited for the Tennessee football team this year. Let me know your top 10 reasons at _Cainer at Locked On Vols. Fill out those comments on the YouTube channel. Shout out Mark Nagy, Saturday Down South. He put his list out there. Encourage you to go read his as well as you just read mine. All right, guys, that's going to be it. Appreciate you guys for being here once again. Locked On Vols every single weekday morning, 30 minutes or right around 30 minutes on your way to work, in your cubicle, walking the dog, working out, whatever it is. Thank you for allowing me to be a part of your morning. Shout out everydayers. Subscribe to Locked On Vols on the YouTube channel. Rate me 5 stars. Leave me a positive review on Apple Podcasts. That would help the show out so much. Got 2 practices until we'll talk again on Monday morning. What did I see? What happened from over the weekend? Tennessee fall football camp. You get it all right here on Locked On Vols. Enjoy your weekend, everybody.